Black Myth Wukong is a game that I've had my eye on since they first shut it off a few years ago. And as a FromSoft fan, anytime I see giant boss fights, little neurons in my brain start firing off. Now, when an action game gets the Souls-like comparison, I'm a little cautious because trying to replicate what FromSoft does can be a little hit or miss. But I was surprised by Wukong because while it does have some Souls-like qualities, it's very much its own thing. So I've had my doubts going in, but after finally getting my hands on it, it's pretty good. Even still, I did not expect the record-breaking numbers this game would put up. In this video, I kind of want to go over my thoughts and impressions of the game so far, and also take a look at just how crazy this game's success has been, and whether it deserves the praise it's getting. I will keep all the game footage and talk of gameplay to the first chapter as not to spoil too much, but if you haven't made it that far, spoilers beware. And if you like this sort of thing, maybe subscribe. Okay, first, let's get what Black Myth Wukong is out of the way. For those that haven't played it, you've probably heard the Dark Souls Elden Ring comparisons. I've heard people compare it to God of War, Devil May Cry, and even to games like Nioh or Ninja Gaiden. And yeah, I can see why it gets those comparisons. They're all action games. But like I said earlier, it really is just its own thing. It does have the bonfire system with these shrines when you die, but it doesn't have the run back to retrieve your souls aspect of Souls-like games. It has a lot of cutscenes and narrative like God of War, but unless you know a lot about Journey to the West, you're pretty lost throughout the story. It has the fast and flashy combat like Devil May Cry, but not quite as hack and slash in my opinion. You have stamina to manage, and the bosses are more patterned like you would typically see in a Souls game. I think one of the big things I was not expecting in this game was just how many bosses there are. This game comes at you fast, throwing 7-8 bosses at you the first 3 to 4 hours of the game. And at times it almost feels like a boss rush mode, which for me is great. That's my favorite part of these games, the boss fights. But if you're the kind of person who likes a little more breathing room in between bosses, you may be disappointed with this aspect of the game. And I also feel like because there are so many bosses, the exploration in the game is lacking. It's mostly a linear game, just moving you from point A to point B, with some off the main path optional bosses and upgrade points to find, but the exploration is still nothing crazy in my opinion. If you're looking to thoroughly explore every inch of a level and feel rewarded for it, you may be disappointed as well. Unless you just find exploring worth it for the visuals, which I would agree because the game looks great. Overall, I still very much enjoyed this game. Black Myth Wukong knows what it is and does what it is very well. The combat is fast and fluid, bosses are for the most part very well designed, the animations and graphics are all phenomenal. I see why so many people love this game. But with all that being said, does it really live up to the hype? And honestly, I have to say, not exactly. For me at least. Okay, before you grab your pitchforks, hear me out. I like this game, but with Steam reviews like this, and player numbers breaking records, which I know a lot of that is Chinese players, and with the game being so significant to their culture, it makes sense. I don't want to disparage that. And I'm not pulling a game lacks diversity and inclusion, 2 out of 10 game sucks, because frankly, that's stupid. But if you shut all of the noise out and just look at the game on its own, I don't believe that this game is the same quality as others in its genre, say Elden Ring or God of War. I don't think it does anything particularly better than other action games, and honestly a lot of time lacks what sets those other games apart for me. Like I said earlier, I'm a fan of FromSoft games, and this game seems to be more action, less RPG, which is fine if you prefer that. But for me, I get a little more out of the latter. But it's also getting the God of War comparisons. And I feel like if you don't know anything about Norse mythology, you could still easily follow the story in God of War, just from its incredible voice acting, which I don't think Wukong has. Not to say the voice acting is that bad, but I wouldn't say it's incredible.
My master. Safe. The scriptures. Sound.
I'm also playing the English dub, so maybe if you speak Chinese, the voice acting is better. Just speaking from what I experienced in my playthrough. At the end of the day, that's just how I feel about it. I still like the gameplay and visuals very much. Putting aside all of the hype around the game, it still deserves success, especially after all the broken games that have come out recently. Wukong is a breath of fresh air, and I hope we can expect more games like it. They just focus on giving players a fun game that actually works on release. So if you're wondering what I would rate the game and if it's worth the $60, I would say, yeah, it's a 8.5 out of 10 for me, and well worth the price. But I'd like to know how you feel about it. Let me know in the comments if you agree, disagree, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching.